We're recording, Joyce,
Yes, sir.
whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to go.
Let me know when you're recording. You're up? Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. David Boaz, could you please take roll call?
I can do that. Ruth Dries,
Here.
Bobby Levin,
Here.
Diane Handelman,
Yeah.
Joyce Reese.
Yes.
Duke Horton.
Here.
Michael Bunk.
Here.
Jackie Carlin.
Here.
Richard Handelsman.
Here.
Laura Simpson.
Here.
Peter Amato.
Here.
Maureen Deviere.
Here.
Michael Zaslow.
Here.
Dennis Burrows.
Here.
Fausto Fabro.
Here.
David Boas. Yes. Patricia Caputo.
Here.
Dominic Garnagia.
Here.
Stuart Richland.
Here.
And we have two guests.
Three.
Three.
Guests, they're behind you.
And your name, young lady?
Melody Howard.
Melanie.
Yeah, Melody. She works with Jackie.
And your last name again, please?
Howard. She's Jackie. Howard.
Thank you.
You know the last person on the,
I do.
okay.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I know you've all read the minutes, so I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second on that?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Richard. Now that we have a motion and a second, are there any corrections to the minutes?
We have a talker over here. Howard.
Yeah, excuse me, we're having one conversation. Thank you. Are there any corrections to the minutes as presented? Cool. Let the record show that we have no corrections. Motion made, did you get it? You got it? Okay. Donald will not be here and our treasurer will not be here, so we will start with the officers' report. Stuart, you're up.
The first thing I want to do is tell you to be very careful because at the Four Corners going out by Okeechobee, the cops are hiding there. So make sure you stop at the full stop. The other is that, if you don't know, I am chair of the Security Committee. And I just would like you to be aware that there are individuals in Century Village that are poking their nose into what UCO does with security. They are questioning the company that we deal with and how we do things and how we look for the cameras set up and people climbing over fences and so on. So I would, if somebody's talking to you about that or is complaining about that, tell them to come to UCO and don't really give them any credence because it is UCO that handles it and no other group in Century Village should have their 2 cents in this because it only creates a problem and we don't want that. We would like it in one place so that we can handle it and that's about it. Thank you.
Patricia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk about the usual transportation. I keep getting calls almost every day, people trying to complain to me over the telephone. I cannot emphasize, even though I sound like a broken record, if you don't put it in writing, you don't put the date, you don't put the time, you don't put the bus, I can't help you. They won't accept my verbal complaint. I fax, David Boaz fax, and Donald faxes the complaints every day when I get them. I wish people would attend my meeting. I changed the time to 12 o'clock instead of 1:30, so if more people want to come, it'll make it easier for them to come. If you have a complaint, don't tell a friend who tells me. come at the meeting, write it down, I'll be happy to pass it on immediately. The second thing is, there is one more bus stop that is going to be put on April 29th. The temple across the street requested a bus during the week. We know Shabbos is Friday and Saturday. However, the bus will go there Monday to Friday upon request. The 1, 2, or 3 on the way to Publix. Coming back, the easiest way, the only way we could do it is to use the west bus, which they have to go to the post office first and then back to the village. It was only fair to do that since we did it for the church, even though it was one day. Other than that, people have been asking me if other bus stops. I know Wells Fargo's closed. I know some people don't want to cross the street or go to Citibank. The bus company informed me any more changes is going to cost us a lot more money. So this is the contract. We have to bear with it until it's over. And I don't want to say any more about it right now. And that's about it. I wish you all a blessed day.
Thank you. Dominic?
Barcodes continue on, being moved away, people going back. There's one thing that I have noticed that there should be a word out too. We have only 2 vehicles per family. And so there are people who have an offspring, a son, daughter, who come down with a car as well. So now you have 3 people possibly getting barcodes. The problem is, if you have 3 people with 3 cars, with 3, what is it? And the parking spaces are going to be chewed up by everybody on each side of the guardhouse will be having the same request of coming into the village. And there's no advantage to that if everybody has a barcode. So it's limited as to 2 to a family, and that's it. We can't put any more. Otherwise, what you have on the left, you're going to have on the right. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. David Boaz, our corresponding secretary who's taking minutes for us.
Just 2 quick things. We have next Friday, we'll be voting for a recording secretary. There are 4 people running. It will be done by paper ballot. Flora, Maureen, 7:30 next Friday. Thank you very much.
AM or PM?
Well, you won't be there at 7:30 in the PM, that's up to you. But, and also, if we count on you, because you're part of the structure here too, if there are any changes that have to be made on your delegate forms, they have to be in by noontime, Wednesday next week. And outside of that, that's everything from me.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fausto. Laura Hanley is here. I didn't mention her. She just came in. And David Fornes is on the phone, so we have 2 more people here. Thank you.
As long as we have a quorum. I'll give you a quick update on our treasurer report. We did have 2 commercial accounts. The new treasurer has transferred the money all into one account that is now being managed by her and our bookkeeper. She has entered into an agreement where she has invested $235,000 for 4.25% interest. So we're getting money into that. She's also looking into possibly taking more of that money and putting it into different lending institutions. So your money's at work, safe, sound. But when she gets more stuff done, she'll bring it to your attention. that's it as far as the treasurer's report.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just a question, has she ever thought of, or you all have ever thought of as Israeli bonds for investing?
She has, Truist has an account manager that has been working with UCO for the last 7 years. So it's upon it, whatever the investment she's doing is through our bookkeeper, CPA, and the Truist account manager.
The only reason I'm saying is Palm Beach County has invested about $700 million in Israeli bonds,
Yeah.
and we've already returned $84 million.
Well,
You know,
that's great, but we are limited to where we can invest owner's money. It has to be it has to be done correctly. That's all I can tell you.
Also
Okay.
funds that
Palm
can be
Beach County does the
liquidated.
same thing.
Right. Can they pull that money out tomorrow?
That's tax dollars, I mean.
No,
we-
but I'm
we
saying, can they take the money out tomorrow?
They can take certain amounts out.
Well, that's it. Whatever the investments are, have to be liquid, that if we need that money tomorrow, she has to be able to take that full $235,000.
I understand investments, but there's portions that you can put away and portions you can have liquid.
Again, talk to her. Yes,
Okay.
Richard?
I was just gonna say, according to the bylaws, our money can be invested only in US backed financial.
FDIC insured, right. Okay, but again, I'm not the financial person,
Right.
okay?
I don't mean to be,
No,
you know,
but we
upset
have
you, but-
limitations on
but-
where we can put the money.
No offense, this is how we talk about things. It's
Yeah, I am.
communication. I don't mean to upset you, but
I'm not upset.
just asking questions, that's
No,
all.
again, we are limited to where we can invest these funds, that's
Okay.
all we can tell you.
Great.
And how we invest it, all right? Yeah, of course, but, I mean, we accept all questions. You may not like the answers,
No,
you may
I
not
don't
like the questions,
delivery.
but we'll try to answer them for you. We're moving on to South Canal. We don't have really any updates other than, I believe, we're waiting for the final draft from the engineers that were there. Once we get that, a plan will be put in place and we will be notified of what, of where we're going with that. We're also, as you know, we're having some issues with the North Canal. That is also in progress. We have, our attorney said that we should try, there are 6 parcels of land that are owned by a defunct company who turned them over, some to Palm Beach County Water and some to the Lake Worth drainage system, many moons ago, and neither one wants to accept the liability of what's going to happen up there. That also needs to be dredged. We're working on that, trying to acquire those pieces of property. And I have reached out to Congressman, Senator, Governor, if there's any federal, state money that could be used on our behalf to possibly dredge that canal. My concern has been from the day, as soon as the attorney told us that we should try to acquire, we have a water treatment plant that was built. How they got a building permit to do that, I don't know, on a land that nobody owns, but it's there. And it's been pumping for over 20 years, reclaimed water into our canals. If anybody has ever had a problem with the DEC and with contaminated ground, I had an incident where I had a shop and they had to take out one dump truck, about 8 yards of dirt. It was $25,000. That canal is 1 mile long. Think about that. We should not, and my feeling is that the residents of Century Village should not be responsible to dredge that canal. And like I said, we reached out. Brian Mast's office sent Derek to meet with us, met with Donald, myself, Joanne, a couple of the other vice presidents. We've put our request in writing and he's working with us to try to see what he could do for us. That's all I could tell you on the North Canal. Do we have any old business? Yes, Richard?
I don't know if this is old or new. What are the names of the 4 candidates for the recording secretary? Will they be here?
Okay, the 4 candidates are Bobby Levin, Gene Berman, Kelly Jensen, and Bob Rivera. Those are the 4 candidates. Any other old business? Yes?
If you pick up the paper tomorrow or Sunday, whenever you get them, you'll see the ballot and the bios of the 4 candidates. And while I'm at it, may I give a report?
I was going to, you were next on my mind.
Well, here I am. The paper was delivered to the laundry room today. I have no reason to believe it wasn't. So you should have your papers tomorrow or Sunday, whenever you get them. As to the profit and loss of the UCO Reporter, for the first quarter, January, February, March, we were ahead $1,366. We're out of the red, which we had for the last month. I attribute that to a lot of campaign ads that I've been getting. They're really coming through with them, and they're expensive ads. So we are ahead. For the second quarter, first month, which is April, we were ahead $129. That's my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to touch on, as part of my president's report, there seemed to be some misconception, and I don't understand why. If you feel threatened, if you're walking in a parking lot, if you feel that somebody is walking behind you or stalking, or somebody's banging on your door that you don't want to let them in, do not dial the guardhouse. Don't ask for the Rover. Don't call Donald. 911 is the number you should be calling. If you're in doubt, dial 911. They're the ones, if you call security, the Rover comes, and there's an actual issue, guess what? He has to dial 911 to get them there. So once the sheriff comes in, if there's 1 or 2 cars coming in, the Rover is dispatched, and the Rover will follow them to wherever they're going. So we will always have that, but keep that in mind. There should be no questions. What does our security do? Security lets people into the gates. They'll do wellness checks. They'll bring a vendor or an individual to their apartment. They're not police officers. Criminals, somebody's breaking a fence, somebody's trying to break into a car, somebody's doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you dial 911. Common sense, people. Common sense. New business. We haven't, as you know, last month, the executive board and the delegates moved Jerry Satowski to the position of vice president for 1 year. And we have proposed John Timmerman, who's right there with the blue shirt. Say hello to him.
Hello.
Okay. We have brought him up. He went through the officers yesterday, approved him. I'm asking for a motion and approval from the executive board so we could move this to the delegate assembly next Friday.
I make that motion.
Thank you. Seconded by Dennis Burrows. You want to do a roll call vote? Please.
Okay, so the motion is to appoint John Timmerman to the executive board?
Yes, that's the motion.
Excuse me,
Yes.
do we have question? I mean, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
we
but
have
I
a
have discussion? I mean,
Sure.
I'm sorry,
I apologize.
I don't even know him. And
Okay.
where, usually when you're a candidate, you have to tell a little bit about yourself. Could we at least hear that?
Sure.
Okay.
He did run for, his bio was in the paper
Yeah.
at the last election, but go ahead, John.
John Timmerman, I'm from Canterbury F. I am the president of Canterbury F. Oh,
Give him a mic.
I'm not.
It's loud enough.
It's loud enough. In case somebody can't hear you.
Again, my name is John Timmerman, Canterbury F. president. I've been in Century Village about 2.5 years now, as soon as I entered. and purchased my condo, I became working with the board, and I've been on our board since. Pretty much I run the whole operation with the help of the other board members. You know, we have our buildings up to par, new roofs, paint jobs. Our finances are in line. You know, we do things for the owners and tenants. We have annual barbecues, you know, so everybody gets to know each other. So we're working hard, and you know, and it seems to be paying off because everybody seems to be happy. We've had problems in the past with some of our tenants. Thank God those problems have gone away, and everybody seems to be very, very happy over there in Canterbury F. So I'm originally from New York. Was a butcher, meat manager for 38 years. I've worked in so many companies and retired from each one of them. So, but born and raised in New York. I lived in North Carolina, I've lived in Pennsylvania, I've traveled the world, and I'm retired now. So I've been retired for several years. By the grace of God, I've done well for myself. So, and that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you.
And John has been very, like he said, with his building, he took over a building that was kind of like mismanaged.
Excellent.
And he knew Yuko's front doors very well. He came into the office, spoke to the vice presidents, took advice, and straightened out his building. And he's also offered, before he was even elected, to attend or be put on any one of the committees that we wanted him to work on. So I figured he's a good fit, somebody that wants to do the right thing for the village, for the right reason.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the vacancy? I didn't know we had a vacancy. Who was what?
Jerry Satowski
Oh,
was,
that's right, he moved to
I-
President.
right. He was elected.
My bad, my bad.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Go, David.
Okay, motion to appoint John Timmerman to the executive board. Motion by Ruth Dries, second by Dennis Burrows.
Yes.
Ruth Dries,
Yes.
Bobby Levin,
Yes.
Diane Endelman,
Yes.
Joyce Reese,
Yes.
Duke Horton,
Yes.
Michael Bunk,
Yes.
Jackie Carlin, Richard Handelsman,
Yes.
Flora Simpson.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Peter Amato,
Yes.
Maureen Devigaire,
Yes.
Michael Zaslow,
Yes.
Dennis Burrows,
Yes.
David Forness,
Yes.
Laura Hanley,
Yes.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Dominic Garnagia,
Yes.
Patricia Caputo,
Yes.
David Boas says yes. Fausto Fabro.
Yes.
It was a close one, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Welcome.
next Friday will be a big day, so make sure you bring coffee and donuts for everybody.
Oh, yes, for
Just make
everybody.
sure we got Boston cream donuts.
Those are my favorite.
Okay. All right.
Bring steak.
Barbecue at your house.
Donald could not be here, but I gave you a quick update on what's going on with him. On Monday, there were emails sent out. We have a representative coming for the proposed development of the property behind the Yuko building. So we're going to hear what's going on, and then there will be a presentation after delegate assembly on Friday. So I recommend that especially the executive board sits down and listens to what's being proposed. My understanding right now that it'll be a senior community and affordable income. We were told originally the age will be 62 and older, but that may change, we don't know. So I recommend, especially the executive board to pay attention to what's being said. Okay. On a short note, I know where the second Coffee with the Presidents is, you're getting phone calls. We started in alphabetical order. That will be the second Friday of every month. It'll be from 9:30 till 11:30. It's by invitation to the president or vice presidents. If you miss, or you're gonna be out of town, or you have a doctor's appointment, starting with next month, the third Friday of the month, I will be in this room. It'll be open to everyone, officers, non-officers, renters, owners, whoever. Okay, we will be going over basically the same things, but in a larger scope. So if you have questions, come to the meeting. We'll try to give you as much information as we can.
What time does that cost?
From 9:30 till 11:30. The first coffee meeting that we had, 15 people booked, 12 showed up. And they walked out. I gotta tell you, in an hour and a half, we had 4 questions and we were done. I run the meeting for an hour and a half and leave 30 minutes for questions. So, give you an idea of what we're covering. That's it.
Oh,
Yes,
have we heard anything about the Fleishman's Bay lately?
Can't hear it.
can't do anything until the dredging thing is straightened out. They can't do anything. It's once the plan is what the engineer tell us, okay? And then it's gotta go out to bid. And once it's bid and then they get permitted and everything else, then they'll be able to do something. I mean, it's moving ahead. It's-
Well, the reason I asked is I seen WGI out there yesterday surveying.
Well,
I just said, like, thought maybe something was going on.
I mean, they're gonna be in and out of here all the time, you know? So, okay. Before I go to the good of the order, anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am?
Just one more question.
Sure.
Regarding security again, to go back to that.
Yes.
Problem when you come through the gate. I understand that IDs are shown and they're shown for the camera and whatnot.
Hmm?
But is there a process where security guards can actually look at IDs? If they're valid? I mean, I've had people show Sam's cards. They don't look, they don't care. It's just, here's a card, okay, give it to the camera, gate open.
Well, we have, I would say, at the month, this month, between the clubhouse and the guardhouses, they confiscated close to 50 IDs that were either copies or fakes or they belong. So there might be 1 or 2 that if you know of an instance, my suggestion is you put it in writing and we'll give it to Daniel if you know the time, the date, and we'll go back and they will retrain those guards.
But in the interim, those people that had fake IDs still got in our...
No, they were turned away. Their IDs were confiscated.
Okay,
and
but
they
how
were turned
about
out.
the people who give like a Sam's card or whatever, they hold it up and...
Well, all I could tell you is, if you know a time and a date and a guardhouse, we have cameras there. And should that be the case, Daniel will review the video and that guard will be shown the video and will be retrained.
Okay,
They get 2 strikes and then they're looking for a new job.
okay. And
Okay.
follow up to security again. I had the other night by my building, a big Ryder truck come in at 1:40 in the morning unloading stuff
Uh-huh.
at a unit.
Okay.
What's the rule on that, letting a truck like that inside the gate?
That's a building issue.
But I'm saying inside the gate. A Ryder
Security,
truck.
if they have an address, they will let them through. As far as somebody unloading at 1 o'clock in the morning, that's a building issue. The president should have been out there and told them they can't do it. The guards are not gonna stop a truck if they have an address to go to.
But why at that time of night?
Because
An owner is called in.
the
I mean,
owners
I
called
called the
them in.
gate. I called the gate
Yeah,
and found out. I said, what's the policy? And he's like, it's not my job. Whatever.
it's not.
I get it, but information is. I'm calling about someone
Uh,
loading, unloading a truck. That should
It's a
be.
building, that's a building issue. You gotta talk to whoever's in charge of the building, one of the officers, and say, why are you allowing this truck at 1 o'clock in the morning to offload?
So we're battling building to building,
No.
President to president?
No, you're not battling anything.
What is our policy?
The policy is that we
Anyone who
have
can come in
309 associations, everyone acts independently. We're a COA, not an HOA. We're not a master association, we can't tell you what to do, how to paint your building, how to run your building. All we can do is make suggestions, okay? And if you have things that are going wrong in your building, unhappy owners, unhappy renters, who wants to do what, it is the responsibility of that board to take care of that. Not security, not UCO.
Okay, I just think policy-wise, it's difficult having, like, me go out and say,
I
hey, who's your
understand,
president,
but
who's your president? What?
What I'm trying to explain to you, the policy, if the person that's coming through with a truck, we don't permit anybody over 40 feet to come in. Okay, if the guy comes in with a box truck or a 17 or a 27-foot truck, and they have an address and they've been called in, they will let them in. That's their scope of work, what they're allowed to do. As far as offloading in front of the building, the security guards have no authority to stop them. The building has to do that.
And I understand that concept. My point is, you're letting a truck in, where are they parking if it's an overnight? Where are they going? And are we not expecting them to unload at that time, or load, or whatever?
Well, if you would like to make a suggestion to the security committee that no commercial trucks be allowed in between a certain hours of the day and night, Stuart is the person that you can put it in writing, he'll bring it up to the security committee, and we'll discuss it with Platinum. But it would be your suggestion to eliminate commercial trucks coming in at a certain hour. Yeah, but
If you were a teacher and you wanted to grade the associations in Century Village, I would say that you would have more Fs than As. And the reason why, and I'm not saying this tongue-in-cheek and I'm not being sarcastic, we have, based on the questions that come to us every day, we have associations that really have serious problems. And there are many associations where there's virtually no one in charge. They're all gone. So if somebody calls up a truck or calls the guardhouse to say, I have a truck coming in, they let them in. Now what happens at the association, as what Fausto said, is out of our control. We really can't do anything about it. If you're a driver and you're doing 25 miles an hour and somebody decides to do 45 or 50 and they're up on your back, there's very little you can do except pull off the road and let them go by. And this is the same thing. You're dealing with a lot of people who do what they darn please, and no matter how you feel, no matter how it bothers you, there is very little you could do except to try to educate the people in charge of the building so that they follow the rules or at least apply common sense into what they're doing. And unfortunately, if we're going to give somebody a grade, I'd give a lot of common sense C's and F's and D's and so on.
yes, John.
So we can basically, can't we implement a rule with the security?
No,
No deliveries?
no, it's a building. You
No,
can-
I'm saying, not the unloading, I'm saying no deliveries from 9
It's a
p.m. to
suggestion.
5 in the morning.
You can prevent, like we stop trucks over 40 feet from coming in. Again, it would be the security committee, the chair,
Yeah.
Stewart, having enough complaints or issues and sitting down with Platinum and see if there's something that they can institute to that point. Duke?
Oh, can I have about 2 minutes?
Sure.
Wait, let me, you don't speak as loud as some of us.
Hearing aids up.
I have a perfect incident. I was president of Camden Hill, and I worked 3:30 to 12. I came home about 12:30 one night, and there was a box truck backing into our building. So I went over to the guy and said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm unloading some furniture. I said, no, you can't. He said, well, what do you mean?
That's right.
He said, what do you mean? I said, you can't do it. right? And I got on the phone and I called security. The road was coming by at the same time. I said, hey, I need you to call the police department because this guy is not complying. I was the president at the time, and he did not comply with what I asked him to do. So he said, well, can I stay here for the night? I said, no, you can't. So what I'm saying is you have to be proactive in that respect. Sometimes you don't want to do it, but you have to, because you are an example for everybody else. You might not see them, but they see you. So once you put your foot down, you have no more problems.
It just wasn't my building.
Well, I understand, but on the other hand, I'm referring to what happened to my building, because it was a person. I had to call the cops. That's how bad it got. Because he was adamant about staying there until the morning. I said, no, you can't. You can't do it. So, that's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Go ahead, Flo.
I thought I was.
Yes, you do
need
need
to
to
know.
You want everybody to hear what you have to say. Some
I
people,
thought I was told when I moved here that there's no work before 8 o'clock with contractors, and no trucks come in after 9 o'clock. So
Who told you that?
That is, I don't remember.
That's a building policy.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
maybe
building
it was-
policy.
Maybe it wasn't at my building then.
Well, again, this goes to where if those of you that are board presidents or you're sitting on a board and you have a new owner or a new resident coming in, when you introduce yourself, hi, my name is Flo, I'm president of my building. By the way, I just want you to know you can't move in. You can only move in between 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. Okay? It's up to the building to inform the new person because they don't know what their rules and regulations are. Okay? Again, if you want to prevent trucks from coming in, we can make a suggestion. The head of our security will bring it up and they'll discuss it. Maybe they can't do it. Maybe they can. I don't know. But that's why we talk.
Okay, I got the mic. Let me say this. I ask you this. Have we heard anything, or is anything gonna come in Walgreens? We're gonna get a Walgreens or store or?
There's a new pharmacy coming in. There's a new pharmacy coming in. The lease has not been signed, but there will be someone new coming in, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Fasto, may I say
Yes,
something?
sure, go ahead, Patricia.
In regard to the commercial trucks, we put in our documents, and I tell everyone, check your documents and your articles of incorporation. Someone asked me what it was the other day. I thought that was funny because he was on the board. It's so important to put everything in the documents. It covers you. We have no commercial trucks, no overnight, and the building rule, if you can't pull in after 9, that's your rule. When anybody comes in and they're new, we have them sign a paper of the do's and the don'ts. So they can't say they don't know that. So that might be a suggestion for your building to do that. Put everything down, look, you can't move in after 8 o'clock at night, 9, whatever you desire, you know what I mean? I think it's rude of people to do that. And I personally, if I saw it in my building, I would definitely make sure they would move. I did that already. There was a truck, you remember the truck?
Oh, yeah.
And I had them removed. And they said, but I'm just staying overnight. I said, it's not.
Hold on, Stuart.
It's
Peter,
not
you had your hand up?
Yeah, I can talk louder. What about these pods that I've seen in
Okay.
various areas?
The pods, again, the pods, we don't allow pods in here, okay? We don't allow them to be parked, but it is up to when they come to the UCO office, we tell them, talk to your association, and if your association says yes, you can park them in your parking spot. But again, it's at the discretion of the board. We tell people, we can't tell you yes or no. It's up to the board. Okay, Stuart, go ahead.
If you're not aware, automobile carriers are not allowed in Century Village. We made a rule a while back because when they're too large and then they create a great deal of confusion. So we tell them they park outside, they contact the owner of the automobile, they take the car off the carrier, and the owner goes out, picks up the car and drives it in. So that's One of the things that came up, which we resolved because everybody felt that it was better to have that kind of delivery done on the outside. There's another point I would like to make. Fausto has said that there are meetings with the various associations. Very often, at those meetings, you bring up an issue that associations, many of them, were not aware of. And when an association board member stands up and says, we had that issue, this is how we corrected it, and we put an amendment into our documents to cover that particular point. And a light flashes on people's heads who have never thought about it. And that's the way you share what you can and cannot do, or how to resolve your issues, because the issues sometimes creep in, and a board that is inexperienced really doesn't know what to do. But when they find out how another association has resolved the issue successfully, then you put it in your amendments. And then when somebody moves into the building, you tell them, here are the amendments, the do's and don'ts. Please follow it, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. And that's how we share solutions to problems.
Yes, Richard?
To back up what
Richard?
Patricia, is this
Can't
the
hear you. Wait.
No, you gotta turn it on.
I got it.
No, don't turn
The
off the
back-
microphones when you,
Leave the microphone on, don't,
keep them on, please.
yes,
Thank you.
go ahead.
To back up what Patricia said, it must be written in the association rules and regulations. Otherwise, an owner will...
No, stop. It's gotta be in your documents, your bylaws, and whatever personal things that you have. If it's not, you gotta remember, if it's not in your governing documents, but it's in your bylaws and your rules and regulations, guess what oversees it? Whatever's in your governing documents. That, it's up to you, it's up to the building to update, and they all have to match. You can't, a perfect example, somebody says, well, we allow pets, okay? But you can't have a pet that weighs more than 22 pounds. And you put that in, it's not in your governing documents, your government document says pets, okay? Doesn't say dog, cat, or whatever, but your bylaw says you can have a dog that weighs up to 22 pounds, and I have a 25-pound dog. Am I allowed to bring that dog in? Yes. Yes, because the governing documents say I can have a pet. It doesn't say how big the dog could be, how big the cat could be. They all have to agree. They all have to say the same thing. If it's a pet only, it's a pet. Okay, if there's a weight limitations, dogs, cats, whatever it is, all three have to say the same thing in order for them to work. There can't be a contradiction. The highest is always what's up here. And it also, what we're governed, every building is governed by 718. So we can't have anything in our governing documents or bylaws that contradict 718. Okay, perfect example, building insurance. 718 says you must have building insurance. And my building says, I don't want to spend $100,000 for insurance. You gotta have insurance. You cannot contradict state statute. You have, this is one of the things that I cover, the letter that you have to, and you understand that working for the government is up here, state statute, and then everything falls underneath that. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
When I was president of when I was president of Oxford, I had a newcomers meeting like you had here, and we had a document laid out in front that said, this is what the new owners got to do. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So, but I mean, I had a lot of headaches doing that, but it seemed to work after a while because Oxford seems to be running fairly decent.
Well, there's some new statutes that are coming out, and buildings officers better be ready to hand out, if somebody asks you for bylaws, for governing documents, make sure you have them available, because soon you're going to have to give it to the individual.
Is that with a cost or no cost?
At no cost.
Oh, wow.
So the burden is now, yes, Peter?
There's another thing I want to bring up, you might want to discuss at your meetings. A lot of people that are buying these condos think that their apartments are insured with the building insurance.
Yes.
That's not so. You
Yes.
have to get it individually.
Yes. Well, we're well aware of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of misconceptions, and quick question, bilateral agreement, how many people in here have read it? Okay, you better read it. Okay, every building in Century Village signed a bilateral agreement, and you're bound by that agreement. And I guarantee you that once you read it, your hair will be falling out of your head to find out how many wrong things that you're doing. Right, Richard?
My hair will not be falling out of my head.
Well, yours will be coming back.
I have read it. I have read it.
Okay. Reverse osmosis.
Sounds good.
Yes,
If people would like to have a copy,
yes.
Donald can email that to them.
Any officer of a building that wants to know what their bilateral agreement says, if you contact Donald, he'll be happy to email you the one that your building signed in 2000.
Not all signed.
Well, they're all, once it went over 75%, they all had to, it's all done. And most of them are signed. I'm working on that now. I'm working on that number. Okay.
What
Any-
year was that, 2000?
Yes, yes. Anything else for the good of the order before we, anything else? Yes, Richard?
Have you heard anything about Coulter and what it's going to do with the golf course? When
Oh,
are
I
they
just answered that question. We don't know.
Okay.
It's until the dredging situation gets settled and we have a building permit. I mean, they're going ahead with what their plans are, but there'll be no shovel put in the ground until the arrangement has been made to dredge the North Canal. And we got a permit for that. We need a permit to dredge the North Canal. South Canal, I apologize. I'm moving ahead of myself. Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, excuse me, did you have a question? Did you have a question, Elaine?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what's your question?
Here, here.
Here.
Where's the mic? Give it.
Here.
Elaine, 1 minute. Thank you.
Elaine Brown, Sussex South. There's some confusion in the village about school buses and the new school in the synagogue. I suppose the children who are coming in, I suppose that's all something to do with each board, but if you have something to say.
I'm not aware of any school buses coming in, and I'm not aware of any school inside Century Village.
I've seen buses.
Well,
You asked me a question. I'm not aware of it. It has not been brought to the attention of the officers, but we'll look into it.
so the synagogue is not part of Century Village.
Which,
The Hastings one.
On Station Love.
okay. Is that part of Century Village? No, it's a private piece of property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, people on Facebook are confused.
Well,
Thank you.
don't go next door and don't go to Facebook. Come to UCO and we'll try to give you the correct answers.
There are school buses actually.
All right. Anything else? Motion was made to shut down. Anything else? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, Michael.
Dennis?